Well, hey, Robin. I'm really glad we're here together for this one. It feels like a big exhale, like we're inviting listeners into something deep, but held. It's a conversation that's been quietly building for a while, and I think many people are going to recognize themselves in it.
Hey, Stephanie. Yes. And I agree. And before we dive in, let's just arrive. So, wherever you are, however you're feeling, you don't need to shift anything right now. Just notice your body. Maybe there's a tightness in your chest or a heaviness in your belly. Maybe you're holding your breath without realizing it. And that's okay. Let's take a moment together. A gentle breath in and out. Let your shoulders lower, unclench your jaw, and soften your eyes. If it feels safe, you might place a hand on your heart or on something grounding nearby. This episode holds a lot, and we want to invite you to land here gently with care and compassion for whatever comes up. No pressure to process it all. Just begin by being here. So we are beginning Series 4, Emotionally Unparented. And we know this is going to resonate with a lot of folks. It brings up tender truths. For some, it'll put words to things they've never named. For others, it might affirm what they've long sensed but didn't have language for.
Welcome to our new series, Emotionally Unparented. If you ever felt like you had to raise yourself, like no one really showed you how to be a person, you're not alone. Welcome to all the adultier adults, please, memes.
Right? This whole series is about what happens when the adults in your life couldn't meet your emotional needs. Whether they were overwhelmed, unavailable, reactive, or just checked out, we're exploring how it can shape your sense of safety, your nervous system, your beliefs about love, and your relationship with yourself.
So fundamental. So today we're starting at the beginning. Emotionally immature parents. What does that even mean? How does it affect us long term? And what can we do about it now?
And before we dive in, quick reminder, you are listening to two therapists walk into a podcast. I'm Robin Green, LCSW.
And I'm Stephanie Edsel, LCSW. We're two trauma therapists who believe healing should be practical, compassionate, and deeply human. Every episode, we offer nervous system aware insight, accessible tools, and real talk. Because healing isn't linear, and we're here for the ride.
Let's begin with a working definition. Emotional immaturity doesn't always look like neglect or abuse. Sometimes it's parents who are overwhelmed, emotionally inconsistent, or unable to regulate themselves. When we talk about emotional immaturity, we're talking about caregivers who couldn't meet their own emotional needs, let alone someone else's. They may have been reactive, dismissive, overly self-focused, or emotionally absent. They often avoid hard conversations, shut down, or react defensively when emotions surface, because staying with discomfort wasn't something that they were taught or supported in.
100%. They might have expected you to stay small so they could feel okay. Maybe they needed you to manage their emotions, so yours were pushed aside.
Janet Woditz, who studied adult children of alcoholics, noted similar patterns in homes where parents were emotionally unavailable, even if addiction wasn't part of the story. So the child learns that connection means walking on eggshells, performing, or disappearing.
And notice that the child doesn't have language for this to develop these terms. It's just that sense, right? It's that feeling. And Voiditz's
Exactly.
work also, it paved the way for understanding how emotional unavailability shapes adult behaviors. Difficulty trusting, self-doubt, or even self-loathing, perfectionism, and a deep need for external validation.
Right. Her work really helped so many people realize that even if their childhood, quote unquote, looked fine from the outside, emotional needs can go unmet in invisible but really profound ways.
I just really want to just validate big time on this because I feel like a lot of times people come and sit on the couch and go, my childhood wasn't that bad. What's wrong with me?
Right.
I have no reason to feel this way, or I should be grateful. I really should. Others have had it worse. And I say those are all neat things to say. And ultimately it doesn't really matter what the story is. It feels like it, but it's what it left behind, right? It's what the body basically didn't get to process. And so we just kind of lug around, I don't know, baggage maybe. We lug around these legacy burdens that really don't even belong to us. Isn't that just so interesting and fascinating?
Yeah, definitely. And, on another layer too, I've definitely had those clients who've said the same thing. And then I just respond something to the effect of, well, would you want your child to have your childhood? And, 9 times out of 10,
Oh,
no.
no. The emotion that wells up in them is like, yeah, see, weird. How come you don't get that?
Right, right.
You're not afforded that same right as a human? How are you supposed to be teaching this and modeling this if you're not also part of it? Step in. Yeah. So, I don't know. Let's talk about the body for a minute. What does that kind of upbringing actually do to your nervous system?
Your body gets the message. Stay alert. Be good. Don't need too much. You might hold your breath, clench your stomach, or even scan the room without even realizing it. And these cues get wired in, not really as conscious choices, but as survival strategies. So you adapt. So hypervigilance, people pleasing, chronic guilt. You learn that love might mean fawning or over functioning. And here's the thing, if no one ever taught you how to feel safe with another person, your body may not even know what safety feels like. Calm might feel suspicious, rest might feel like failure. You finally get a quiet afternoon and suddenly you feel really uneasy. You might brace even when nothing's wrong because your system doesn't recognize peace yet.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's not the chaos that we're used to or that we're born into. So they're very distrusting and waiting maybe for the other shoe to drop.
Exactly. And building on that, Pete Walker, who wrote Complex PTSD from Surviving to Thriving, he talks about how emotional neglect doesn't just create stress, it can shape how you see yourself. Maybe you learn to be invisible or always be the good one, not because you were wrong, but because it felt safer. These weren't just coping mechanisms, they became identities. And they often live in the body too, that tight chest, a sinking stomach, shrinking posture, really being overly aware how you take up space, a frozen face from years of bracing. And now we're learning those identities don't have to stay that way. We get to feel something different.
That part, seriously. Because when we do talk about co regulation, which is when someone helps you calm your nervous system by being present, consistent, and attuned, many of us didn't get that from our parents or caregivers, and by no fault of their own. We're not pointing fingers. This is not the blame game. Oh my gosh, it's all your parents' fault. Let's just heap more crap on top of it.
Right.
No. We're really trying to notice this, that genuinely co-regulation might have looked like a sharp tone, a tense body, or someone needing you to stop crying like right now so they could feel okay. It felt like pressure, not presence. You learn to monitor them instead of feeling safe to be with yourself. And while that might have helped you survive, it doesn't have to be the way that you connect now.
So true. And when your parent mistakes control for co-regulation, that can seriously mess with your blueprint for connection. Like, I need you to behave so I can calm down is not co-regulation. That's not calming. It's control dressed up as care.
Exactly. If you could hear how many times I'm sighing off mic as you're reading this stuff, and I'm like, should I be recording all these really heavy sighs? I don't know. But genuinely, I really hope that the audience is plugged in today and really engaged and forgiving themselves for what they did not know that they did not know. Let's pause there for just a moment. I want to do the nervous system nugget. Sometimes emotional neglect doesn't always show up as chaos. It can show up as quiet. Maybe no one yelled. Maybe no one hit. But no one asked how you were either. No one helped you name a feeling or sat with you when you cried. That kind of silence lands in the body. You may find yourself today wondering if your feelings matter or bracing before you speak up. But here's the thing. The body does remember. And the body also listens for something new. When you pause, when you soften toward yourself, when someone offers presence without expectation, that's your nervous system learning safety. No, not all at once, but over time. And remember, it does count.
If you grew up with caregivers who couldn't offer that, you might notice patterns of self-protection, overperforming, or shutting down. And that's not a character flaw. It's a reflection of how you adapted brilliantly to a nervous system shaped by unmet needs. And adaptation isn't the end of the story. It can also be a doorway to self-responsibility. And we get it. Agency can be powerful, and it can also be really scary. It means recognizing what shaped you and choosing how you want to show up now. Not because you have to be perfect, but because your life belongs to you now. And that matters.
It really does. For so many Gen X and neurodivergent folks, we didn't have a language for this. We were told we were too sensitive, dramatic, selfish. That's a good one. Ugh. Often we literally learned to hide parts of ourselves, to mask, to perform competence or calm. Like, oh, your child is so well behaved. They're just so good. Because feeling things out loud wasn't safe.
Or we were the ones everyone leaned on, parentified, hyper capable, but often disconnected from our own emotional life because being needed didn't always mean being nurtured.
Agreed. So what do you do now as an adult who maybe didn't get what you needed back then?
This brings us to today's coping tool, something we're calling reclaiming the pause.
This is such a powerful one, especially for folks who grew up needing to stay 2 steps ahead to feel safe.
In homes where your emotions were ignored or punished, you may have learned to rush your responses, to people please, or to fix everything fast. That urgency may have helped you survive, but it can keep you disconnected from what you actually need. Today, we're inviting you to reclaim just a few seconds of space. So here's how. Sometime this week, I want you to notice when you are about to say yes, or explain yourself, or over accommodate. Pause. Just 3 seconds. Feel your feet. Take a breath. Maybe sip some water. Ask yourself, what do I need right now? That tiny pause is where your adult self gets to make a different choice, to step into that frontal lobe.
It doesn't have to be dramatic or perfect. It can be invisible to everyone else. But it's those small moments of honoring your nervous system that start to change the whole pattern. I like to look at it like all the little grains of sand on the beaches that we just love so much. And though it might feel like I'm being extra by saying each piece matters. It really does. I'm certain it's very much the same as far as our nervous system regulation and like recalibration go. We can reattune to ourselves as adults. It's not easy. It does take some work. But that's what these podcasts are actually for, because we believe you can do it. That brings us to our real life rewire, and I'll share one. I am a step parent, and when my oldest stepson was about 8 years old, this is probably about 8 years ago now, he came in to basically confess that he had accidentally damaged something of mine. And immediately when his dad asked him to go tell her, when they got into the house, I see his tears, my alarm bells are going off. Like, what's going on? What? Is everything okay? And he says, Steffi, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to, but I ruined your pink tape. And this pink tape, it's a cassette tape. It's got a lot of, well, it means a lot to me. It's a little recording of my oldest child and I when she's probably two or three. And so there's just some precious memories on this tape. And when he said he'd ruined it, my brain didn't quite know what that meant. So instead of reacting, I did this really interesting technique called mindfulness of current emotion. And I touched my chest and I said, son, I am angry, 8 out of 10. Oh, I want to yell. I think tears were already coming out of my eyes. I said, I really want to send you to your room. I want to stomp my feet. I want to smash the table. And that will not work for our relationship. And I just want you to know I love you. And I'm really sad that happened. Please don't touch my things without talking to me first. Okay. And he 100%, yes, ma'am. Yes. And he went to his room and I ran out to the vehicle kind of in a panic to go check like, oh, is this tape really ruined? And if Gen Xers are out there, you know what cassette tape problems I'm talking about. Just that little bit of a loop coming out you can fix with either your finger or a pencil. Just slide it right in there and rewind it, which was all that needed to happen. There was nothing wrong. I did need to make that repair though. I need to run in and let him know that he actually didn't ruin the tape, but my boundary still stood. And I let him know. I walked in. I said, hey, guess what? It's not ruined, but please don't touch my stuff. And he said, deal. And I think that's actually really an incredible moment, like a teaching moment for both of us. Fast forward many years later, he does remember that story vividly.
I love that. Thanks for sharing. And that right there is the work. It's not just understanding this stuff. It's catching those moments when your system wants to do what it's always done and then gently offering something different.
It is. And I just have to offer that he gave me consent to share that story. So I don't feel too guilty about it right now. He's a doll. I love him so much. So before we wrap, let's leave you with something to sit with. Take your time with this one. It's not about judgment. It's about awareness. Here's your weekly reflection question. What did emotional support look like in your home growing up? And how has it shaped the way you connect with others? Present day. Notice how your body feels as you reflect. Is there a shift?
Next week, we're exploring a survival strategy that so many of us know too well. Episode 17 is called The Parentified Child. This episode, we will be discussing how being the emotional grown-up way too early in the family and how this survival strategy leads to burnout, people-pleasing, and grief.
I'm literally already feeling my chest stirring. I'm like, gosh. So if the episode hits something tender, that's why we say go slow. Please go slow. Take care of yourself. And if it helped you feel less alone, maybe share it with someone who gets it.
You've been listening to two therapists walk into a podcast. Thanks for walking with us.
And remember, healing isn't linear, and we're here for the ride. Thanks for sitting with us today. If something resonated, we'd love it if you shared the episode, left a review, or connected with us on social media. We're two therapists walk into a podcast on most platforms. You can listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not therapy, does not replace therapy, and does not establish a therapist-client relationship. If you're in crisis, please reach out to a qualified mental health professional or call 988 in the US. Robin Green is a licensed therapist in Arizona, and Stephanie Edsall is licensed in Utah, and this podcast is intended for a general audience. And remember, healing isn't linear, and we're here for the ride.